Hey everyone, we'll be starting in a moment, getting everything set up, so please bear with me. Oops. Can't read that anymore. Don't need these. Connection seems to be good. I think we're good to go. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another stream of The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Where we had left off last time, we had managed to find Suzeki in another piece of trouble because he just can't seem to stop getting into trouble. We're going to be seeing how he's doing by going to trial. We're going to protect him. We're going to defend him. And we're going to see if we can get his name cleared of attempted murder again. Because the guy didn't die. He got poisoned. I'm going to just go throw a guess out here that the guy thinks that's... it's either going to be one of two things. Either the guy that got poisoned thinks Suzeki-san did it, so he's blaming him and thinking that he's trying to kill him. Or, number two... it's all a ploy, and it is trying to get... But other than that, yeah, I think that's it. Hey, Rapatron, welcome. How am I feeling? About the same, I guess. I'm still on my medication. That's not over yet, but we shall see how it goes. Hopefully it won't be as bad as it was on Tuesday, when I was like having trouble doing any of the voices after a while. But we shall see. But, you've met the real Slim Shammy. Yes. Let's get over to the game and begin and see what happens with the Sham that is a spear. Out of all of the names, his is probably the most simple. Like, everyone else has all these, like, weirdly specific names for, like, tropes or something. And this guy is just called William Shamspear. It's like, oh, wow, that's a great name. Probably like a stage name too. I bet his name is actually like something like, my name is John John Doe or something. I don't know. Right, close that. I don't want that. Stream is buffering. Is that on YouTube side or is it also on Twitch? Let me just check on YouTube actually. View. I don't see it's buffering on there, so it might be just on your side maybe. But yes, continue. The Clouded Kokoro. The 22nd of February, 9:23 a.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. The Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. It seemed to get chills down my spine and break out into a nervous sweat all the time. All at the same time. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! It's you! Good morning! Good morning, Mr. Natsume. It was only 2 days ago that I declared not guilty here. Yeah, somehow we managed to prove he didn't stab Miss Green in the back. But now this! Another morning, another murder! Am I here again in this hellhole? Can't keep coming to court! I'm beginning to think he's right. He really does seem to as though he's cursed. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have some bad news. Oh. Mr. Natsume, good morning. This and the other Kokoro are named after a book brought by the real life. Yeah, I think you mentioned that last time. They could have come up with a better name, though, because, like, using it twice is kind of boring. Like, maybe he wrote other books? Yes, morning. So, here we are again. Yes, again. This is Miss Picotoba Squires. What's the bad news? I've already forgotten how to do his voice because my throat's not working with me. Oh dear, you heard, didn't you? If you come to shout at the top of your voice, people can't help hearing what you say. Oh, I'm sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Mr. Zato. Now what is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial is the Reaper again. Will be led by Lord Barak von Zeeks. No! Van Zeeks. Oh no, no, no! The so-called Reaper of the Bailey. The most legendary prosecutor in the land. And a vampire. In the trial 2 days ago, pursued Soseki-san and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth. We managed to pull through, but still. Perhaps Mr. Natsumi's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter. He had a book called I Am a Cat. I want to case him after that. That would be a fun one. Imagine, because then he actually does have a cat, so it could be about the cat. The cat's the murderer. I'll prove that the cat's innocent. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The list of the Reaper that says, nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord Van Zeeks is the prosecutor. Oh no. That even if that person is not found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another. And we've experienced it firsthand. With the burning of the guy in the car, like every time. A man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey. Do I have to put up with those nice cold eyes boring into my soul again? Cursed by evil spirits and now by the Reaper. Pair of petrifying perils potentially. Well, if it's potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I'm innocent. You have to believe me. You more than anyone know. Don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this very battle. I promise you. And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear. Well, the trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom. I wonder if it's going to be the maid again. It's going to be the maid, the person with the telegram, and possibly the doctor guy again. Let's go. Oh yes, I forgot to say. I'm afraid he won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean. That's probably for the best. Oh, if he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. And that could be seen as a weakness. If Lord Van Zeeks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least, that's my gut feeling. Mr. Naruhodo. Also, it wouldn't make sense for a later case when he's the first time to show up at court. You're right. Yes, you're right. Oh, well said, locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Well said. I swear on this sword at my side and on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free with honor. Oh, yes. It's actually kind of smart to have this case in GGS2 rather than the first. Yeah. Its tone, or its later tone and evidence would fit right after the Clouded Kokoro. Yeah. 9:40 a.m., the courtroom. Oh, we've got the doctor. I noticed one of them was the same. I need to remember how to do his voice. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare the court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels of the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Nipponese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is readiness for your inevitable defeat. It's not just in my imagination, it's really there. Lord Van Zeeks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason. It was some time ago now that he has first become known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years, he hasn't appeared in court at all. Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason. Only when I'm defending. He does admit in the last game, at the end of the last game, he was doing it deliberately. This Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Soseki-san's trial. Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies of the gentlemen of the jury. You have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty? Oh God, it's you! Absolutely, I feel like this larrikin wasn't innocent before. Oh, it's the Southern Belle. I do declare, I must say that I feel especially ruthless some days when my hat refuses to sit upright. It's the... He's not the crikey guy, he's the other Southern Belle guy. Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think that ruthless look is very fetching, actually. Oh, God, you look really posh. I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick. I couldn't agree more. I need to take home my fine bob tonight before the missus will go through the roof. Maybe the Lord show us all night here and lead us locked to a righteous verdict. But the British jury system is so different to our own, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of judgment is in the hands of 6 members of the public. Hey, Malaroth. And that the judge can only pass sentence when all jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt. 6 citizens of London chosen at random, or at least that's the idea. But the prosecution would draw attention to the fact that the accused was on trial here but 2 days ago. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today. I do declare the perfect phrase for this voice. Exactly. That's the way that I sink into it. Very well, let us commence the trial. Also, I like that the moment that Van Zeeks comes back, Malaroth appears. Hello, welcome. Lord Van Zeeks, your opening statement, please. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt of your past decision. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoing in that affair? Far from it. Instead, he used his freedom to perpetrate a most blood-curdling crime. Namely, that of the attempted murder of his neighbouring lodger, an innocent Englishman. To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution calls its first witness to the stand. Immediately the cape's off. He means business. The detective responsible for investigating the crime, and the accused himself. Every single time I'm seeing him eat fish and chips, I kind of want some of my own. Witnesses, your names and occupations, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. Soseki Natsumi, from the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study your language and culture. Mr. Natsume. Yes, my lord, sir. And quite sure I'm not mistaken that you swore an oath never to set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it were yesterday. The day before, in fact, my lord, but close enough. Oh, believe me, this is the last place I want to be. Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case to the court. I read that, Rafshon, I read what you said is that I called him via Irish plush. Like, Irish? Huh? Oh, right you are, sir. The incident occurred at the Gary Deb household where the defendant has his lodgings. In the ground floor room of the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare. The defendant had already admitted to visiting the victim of the night in question. Mr. Shamspeare collapsed in the room of as a result of poisoning by strychnine? He was found by the following morning when the landlord, suspecting something was wrong, broke down the door. This means I presume that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident. Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry or exit to the room impossible. Although the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, lives to tell the tale, he very nearly didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when we first found him. It was the first of all. I was the first officer on the scene, my lord. Damn hiccups, go away. And I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show how it worked. Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looks very much deceased. That's right, everyone present believed that exactly what it was. Very well, I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court. Victim can be seen unconscious at the table, having been poisoned. And now then, Mr. Natsume. Yes. As the defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture? They're haunted. Haunted by evil spirits. Good gracious. Haunted? My lodgings. There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances. A woman was stabbed by one on the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned. And me! What about me? I can't do his voice today. I'm sorry. I'm trying very hard, but it's very difficult for my throat for some reason. I've nearly been killed countless times. Killed, Mr. Natsume? How? Even on the fateful night it happened. When I returned from Mr. Shamspeare's room, I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me. You must always extinguish all fires before retiring for the night, Mr. Natsume. But it's so cold! My runny nose would freeze. The point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed? Thank you, witness. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of events. If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more conclusive point. Conclusive? Go on. Unfortunately, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, has regained consciousness after his ordeal. And he was named the true culprit. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused. The accused? Good grief! What disgrace! Order! Order! Yes, that's the crux of this whole case. If Suzeki-san is innocent, then why? Why was the victim accused him? Well, Mr. Natsume, what have you got to say to this accusation? That evening, yes, I did make some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shams's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I brought in bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again, never! The public pump was frozen, you say? That's not information we've heard before. Oh, that will do, thank you. Now, according to our laws, the defense must have opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at once. At least once. Therefore, I call upon these witnesses now for a formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objection. None whatsoever, my lord. Ow! Ah, that hurt my neck. Ow. Ah. Sorry about that. I'm wondering, because I don't have the condenser thing on anymore, my sneezes probably sound a lot louder. So sorry about that. I even faced away. Good. Then you will give your account of events on the night in question to the court now. Yes, my lord. Witness testimony. The catastrophic night. I was going to say the catastrophic, which is not a word. It was around 9 this evening that I went and visited my neighbor and I took some tea with me as a gift. We had heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room around 11. My tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have had locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? Strychnine takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Yes, I see. It's all relatively straightforward. Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Mr. Natsume claims this tea has been harmless, presumably, though. The teacups have been examined for traces of the poison, haven't they? Why didn't I think of that? Well, as it happens, no. We haven't been able to. Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspect's substance. Too many S's. How could you have overlooked something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done? My learned Nipponese friend is falsely incensed. And he said licensed. The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea. Not that it was overlooked. Unable? Why? It's simple enough. There was none left. Not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed. With the current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances. I've got 6 viewers, wow. Hi everyone, welcome. We only need a drop, but that one drop doesn't actually have to exist, funnily enough. The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips on the night in question. I see. Thank you. The matter is clear. Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend. What? You can see it in their faces, I'm sure. The recognition of the accused guilt. Your client's fate is all but sealed. In mere moments from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity. Okay, being very dramatic, Van Zeeks. He's right. I can feel all 6 of the jurors looking daggers at me. Ouchie. But I can't let them down. I won't. Counsel for the defense, proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Here we go.
Hold it!
Were you and your neighbors good friends then? No! We weren't friends! Not at all, not at all! Never, ever! A simple no would have sufficed. Then, Why did you decide to pay him a visit? Mr. Shakespeare fancies himself as a great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find... Oh, God. My throat's just not agreeing with me today. We find much to talk about together. Come now, no Nipponese could understand the finer points of English literature. And on the night in question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume. If it was the day of the last trial when I was acquitted, I'd just arrived back at my lodgings. And I ran into Mr. Shakespeare outside on the street. That was around 6 o'clock. We exchanged one or two pleasantries, but it soon turned out into a heated discussion. He was on his way at the time, though. So I presumed to visit his room that evening at 9 to continue our debate. But did I have ill intentions? No! Not one, not two, not any. Not at all. Never, ever. A simple no would have sufficed, I feel. And then tell the court what did happen when you visited the victim's room.
Hold it!
A literary debate about Shakespeare's works, I think you said, Red, didn't you? Shakespeare? A very worthy topic of conversation, I must say. Oh, yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet, who is the stronger? It was a profoundly pleasurable parley. Romeo and Juliet? Who was the stronger? I know I'm going to regret asking this, but how did the debate go? Well, we both agreed that we would reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment. So we battled it out, in Greco-Roman style, naturally. What? Mr. Shakespeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for such a contest. So, when you say a reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume? He as Romeo and I as Juliet, and after a vigorous wild tussle, I as Juliet came out on top. A victory I'll cherish forever. I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage. The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim. Correct. I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, so you see. It's true, there was no sign of any tea leaves in the man's room. I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me in such suspicion? My tea was harmless, of course it was. And do you have any basis for that statement, witness? I wish we could see Shakespeare and Natsume duke it out in cosplay. That'd be funny. Like, like Sasaki's wearing a corset and a full-on dress. Freaking Shakespeare's all dressed up. He's probably dressed up as he was when we found him.
Hold it!
Yeah, there was not a drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? Oh, that's correct. Anyone wouldn't think the fellow had had enough of pot of tea before. He must have licked it dry. Which is a pity, because one drop is all we could have needed to analyze it for poison. And you say that you returned home to your room at 11 o'clock, Mr. Natsume? Yes, definitely. By heaven and earth, I swear it. The landlord was able to verify that, as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 that night. And how was the landlord able to attest to this? He, said it was the lamps, I believe. The lamps? Inspector? When tenants return to their rooms and start using gas, the lamps in the other parts of the house flicker. Yes, Mr. Garadev seems to have paid a lot of attention to the comings and goings of his tenants. Well, there's only one key to Mr. Shakespeare's room. I know that for certain. So he must have locked the door himself from inside his room. The victim has confirmed to be the case, yes. So I'm right. My tea was harmless. No, completely harmless. If you take poison, you die. Everyone knows that. It's not that simple, I'm afraid, Sunshine. What do you mean? I accidentally threw on a Sunshine when he didn't even say that.
Hold it!
How long does it take for symptoms to appear, then? According to the coroner and speaking to the yard, about 30 minutes after the poison is consumed. And then the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. So there's a 30-minute interval when the poison is ingested in the onset of the symptoms. There seems to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. Buddy, you'd be surprised. Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful. 30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left. You can't deny that. Oh hey, Swordmaster, welcome. Oh, it's because he jumped. He needs to have like super glue on it so it just doesn't come off. And it further degrades Soseki-san's alibi. I have the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells it out really. The accused is the only person who could have gone and done it. Very well, the court will add this report to the court record as evidence. Medical report has been added to the court record. It obviously mentions the poison as well as the other details gleaned from the police investigation. Oh yes, I see it here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Great. Let me have a look at this new piece of evidence. Has he? Sorry. Right. Cause of coma. Ingestion of small quantity of strychnine. High likelihood of the substance had been mixed into tea. Victim was drinking, but no sample could be obtained for testing. Poisoning incident occurred around 1:30 a.m. on the 21st of February. Assessed from the victim's pocket watch that appears to have been broken when the man collapsed after the delayed onset of symptoms. No container of poison was found at sea. It's the soap, I'm telling you!
Hold it!
The argument still stands, you say? This is what Mr. Natsumi has been saying, isn't it? The pair of them drank tea together that night, so if there was poison in it, the victim wouldn't have been able to lock the door and the accused left later on. Exactly! Me and my tea are innocent, sweet and innocent, I tell you! I'm afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, strychnine is a slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for symptoms to appear. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. And as long as you did that, Mr. Sham's beer could have locked the door after you'd gone. But no! We drank the tea straight away! The battle over whether Romeo and Juliet was stronger. That came after the tea. Do you have any evidence to support that statement? I hope you didn't eat it, Baloroff, if you did make a bar of soap. In my great homeland, the Emperor of Japan, we have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot! Sure, a proverb will satisfy the prosecution. I'm afraid there's no conclusive proof to support the defendant's assertion. On the contrary, there are sufficient grounds for his guilt in this matter. No. Damn hiccups, go away! That's the extent of their testimony, is it? If I could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo. Of course, go ahead. Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently, and yet Inspector Gregson just brushes what he says aside. It's really quite infuriating. I agree. So we need to find an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think. I'm afraid so. So things stand, or as things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty. I see it. What we need to focus on is the poison and the tea. Just listen carefully to his testimony again. Yes. Okay. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. We've been perfectly able to lock the door after the guests left. He's 31, okay. Being mixed in with the tea. Maybe I missed something in this? A small quantity of strychnine present 30 minutes after ingestion. Being tested. 1:30. No container of poison was found at the scene. Teacups. Maybe it's not for this one then. Nine o'clock. 9 o'clock, which would mean that it doesn't fit with this. Because this says 1:30. And that would have been a whole 10, 11, 12, 1. That's a whole 4 hours later. So I guess this could be for him. But I don't know if I would objection it.
Objection!
No. The witness's last statement is clearly contradictory when you consider the piece of evidence here. Yes, undeniably. You say it's undeniable, counsel, but I fail to see any contradiction here at all. I think perhaps that itself is the contradiction. Indeed. Time for a rethink. Okay. Heated literary debate over a nice drink, after which I went back to a room about 11. Yeah, okay, so this might be the one.
Objection!
There we go. I was presenting on the wrong one. Mr. Natsume, you say it was 11 p.m. when you left to return to your room, correct? Yes. And Inspector Gregson, can we rely on the information in the medical report unconditionally? Of course we can. There's no problem with that report, sunshine. Actually, I think there's a very big problem. Because the chronological inconsistency between it and the defendant's testimony. What? What are you talking about? According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11. Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was a poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 full hours after the defendant left? They're both reacting the same way. The defendant's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Van Zeeks? I don't respond. I just drink. Throw it. Pray forgive the discourtesy in my mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice this luncheon. How could it have happened, you asked? I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea. A phantom? Is it so hard to imagine the victim drank his tea after the accused had left? For example, at the time stated in the medical report. Yes, at around 1:30.
Objection!
Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there is a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot.
Objection!
And in my country, there is an even more apt saying. There is nothing more refreshing than cold tea. I have never heard that saying, and if you drink cold tea, there's something wrong with you. If it's like iced tea, then yeah, that makes sense. Cold tea, no. That's disgusting. I don't even like tea. The point is there's such a long gap There may have been other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned. Other possibilities. What sort of possibilities, counsel? Arguing about tea in the courtroom. Yeah, pretty much. Well, for one example, the man could have had another visitor. Another visitor? That's a very bold assertion, my learned friend, from someone who has nothing to substantiate it. Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition. You suggest that it may have been suicide, counsel.
Objection!
Mr. Shamspeare has categorically denied suicide. The idea can and must be discounted.
Objection!
But he could be lying. For some reason. Kind of grasping at straws here. He's just not going to respond. There's something wrong, Lord Van Zeeks. I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Carriage? What carriage? It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived. Is it the guy that was going to get killed or something? Out, brief candle. Life but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. His hair is so blonde, it's actually bright and blinding nearly. Who, sir, are you? William Shamspeare, my lord. Alas, 'twas I undone by these bitter events. I am the victim. What's he doing here? The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance would be utterly crushed. You're calling him as a witness? Very well, counsel. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court will hear from the victim himself. Happy am I, Shamspeare, to regale thee with a tale of my woe, my lord. But I still have my own tale to tell, my own tale of worse woes. I can regale the court with a tale of my perfect innocence, in perfect English. That'll do, Mr. Natsume. Let the court now hear from the victim. Is his mouth just going to be permanently open? Oh, and the guy with the big chin. Popeye. Alright, so that's Mr. Shamspeare. But who's that other man beside him? Yes, I feel sure that we caught a glimpse of that man before. State your names and occupation for the court. Please, witnesses. A writer of words so sweet they do scent the breeze, an inventor of ideas so profound they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare. Were the great bards to be recalled to life anew, lo, what a magnificent man. Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shamspeare. Ah, man, if I could do it, I would do a Popeye voice for this guy, but I can't remember what Popeye sounds like, and I don't think I can do it justice. I know it's like... The name's Meter Man. Adrian B. Meter Man. Be better man, or is that supposed to mean be the better man? Maybe? Adrian be better man. Why is it 3 N's? I work for the Ultimate Gas Company, East End branch office. I remember now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh yes, she's right, it's him. Oh, what's this? The guy looks like Popeye. Yeah, yeah. What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Zeki-san's logics. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me, could you have a word? Boing. Ah. No. Goodbye. Whee. Imagine if they actually animated him running away. It'd probably be like this over-the-top run. Yes, we spotted him at Mr. Garadeb's house that morning. And he's a gas company employee. What does he have to do with this case? So, Mr. William Shakespeare, you are the victim in this miserable affair, correct? Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? That sweet poison that didst cross me and cross mine innocent lips. I subpoenaed him for the trial, with his doctor's permission, naturally. Hearing the testimony of the aggrieved will remove any room for doubt in the jurors' minds, I'm sure. Behold, you have only to rearrange the letters of my name to see that me, a seraph, an angel indeed. Thus be I noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart, as all heavenly angels be. Why am I able to, like, read this guy's lines almost perfectly, but no one else's? Because there isn't a less contrived meaning in all your names. No, not at all. The juror seems to be very moved by this man, I'm afraid. They're actually taking this seraph anagram idea seriously. Thank you, witness, for your illuminating introductions. But, my lord, what's the man's next to Mr. Shakespeare doing here? The gasman, I mean. What, me? Oh, well now. Allow me to enlighten my learned friend. Recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence. When you suggested that the victim had another visitor to his room on the night in question. And moreover, that the victim is a compulsive liar. What? No, I didn't quite say that. This young chin-stroker here is to controvert your wild claims conclusively. Is that not so, Mr. Meterman? No, hang on, no, I'm just here, I hereby call you for your formal testimonies. You will tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. Oh, one may smile and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken, the truth of that wintry night of my discontent. The wintry night of my discontent. The snow lay about, my neighbour did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But marry, bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, nothing, naught else. I was outside of the bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping my eye on the room. No one else visited his room but that little round-backed Houston fella. How? He has no windows for you to see through. Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shakespeare's room all night? Oh, that's right. Of course the bloke's windows is all but blocked up, isn't it? But there are little gaps in the bricks where you can see into the room. So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered in through that. The question is, sir, why? Well now, that's because he's on my list. What a piece of work is a man. Wherefore wouldst thou not stare into wonderment? What are you talking about? This buzzing busybody hath not part in this play. I pray thee, pay him no heed, make no more ado about his tedious words. What do you say about me? Calm yourself. This court is concerned with what happened on the night in question. Nothing more. Indeed, that is so. And as one of this testimony we've just heard clearly reveals, there was no one other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime. Might meet more. Well, I believe this may be the final testimony of the trial. Now, counsel, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. I'll prove you that this isn't the last one. The bag looks like a stinger. Yeah, I was thinking that the same. He kind of looks like a bee when he does that. A weird bee, but a bee nonetheless.
Hold it!
To be clear, by neighbor, you're referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume? Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance that thou wouldst call... Thou wouldst what that I call him, the man from upstairs? And at what time did the mustached Japanese visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea. Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes. And we were broiled in such literary debate as history hath not seen before. By which I presume he means their discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I am Shakespeare. I, Shakespeare, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbour played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as would-be characters, or our characters be, to bring a weight upon our merry experiment. I dare not imagine the scene. Frailty. Thy name is woman. Oh, God. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I heard of the Eastern art of jiu-jitsu, but ne'er did I dream that 'twould be a skill practiced by the commonly maiden, or comely. Juliet beat Romeo up? That is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literature debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room. My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding.
Hold it!
Let me stop you there. Mr. Natsumi left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. It amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. If the defendant had really put the poison into your tea, and can you stop dancing like that? You look like a muppet. That 3-hour window of time is something you're able to explain? Gladly. 'Tis an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea, not whilst my guest did tarry, but after he took his leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold rather, but at 1 past midnight, verily were my lips parched.
Objection!
That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debate, or fiery. Amidst such argument there be no time for a fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again? And who was stronger? Mr. Shakespeare, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words did attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. We all know what that means. 'Twas the tea alone, blah blah blah.
Hold it!
So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal, dinner, supper? Huh. Fie on luxury, fie on gluttony. To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time. Sorry? I would that my belly were full. No more of that sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. Night and day do I fill my hours with learned study of the great bard and playwright. Hence it is it that there doth not in my chamber be than the costumes of mine art. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent has found starved to death in your room. And now that I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single play or script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. You've eaten them? Every word were within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right, that wasn't misleading at all. Now could you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the conclusion that the only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea.
Hold it!
But the windows of that house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right. They're all bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom of the corner that's been opened up. I was looking through that gap. Yes, there was a few bricks loose, weren't there? And for some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up on the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But then there's my orders, so that's what I'll keep doing. As long as there's breath in my body. What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Biederman, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in that room the whole time, as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be so sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. I've got to say, I don't know why we're hopping on about this suicide so much. Like, we've done the case before, and Naruhodo wouldn't just jump to conclusions. He would think about it and be like, wait, this could make sense. No, he's just like, no, he's lying. He wanted to kill himself. What? That's a huge leap, man. And since we know that the victim didn't leave the room and hence didn't dispose of the victim's poison's container himself, it's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. Ah, yes. Lucidly explained, counsel. Thank you. It really was. You can't argue with the logic.
Hold it!
You say a short little round-backed Eastern fella. So you can't be sure if it was the defendant then.
Objection!
How many other short-lived round-backed Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the moustache. But he showed up around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person saw you arrived, did he and Mr. Shamspeare drink tea together? Nah, sorry. I couldn't say. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? But what I did see was the silhouette of little round-backed fellow wearing a pretty dress. And then the pair of them started a kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it. I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway. Mr. Biederman, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question! Gasman's honor! My lord! Goodness me, yes, Mr. Foreman. I've kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone for long enough. Are you all with me? Yes. Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you've reached a unanimous decision? Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yes. Wait, no, the defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room. I do declare, yes, there's 3 missing hours as you put it. But in the end, what difference do they make? None as far as I can see. And since now that there's no parent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer. Like I was saying before, I know if I don't take 5 bob home with me tonight, the missus will blow her top. Huh? What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that, what you said. Everyone's going to vote not guilty, then I'll have to do that thing about trying to persuade them. Very well, the court will be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leadings to the defendant's capability or culpability.
Guilty.
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 Is that the same voice as one of the other women? For the posh lady, it sounds like they reused a voice clip from one of the other jury members from before. All of you. Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous. So, this time at least it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty be punished. Wah! Get up, Mr. Naharu, please. The trial isn't over yet. What do you mean, Mr. Zato? I don't know. About the other dozen times we've done it. What about the information I found in this Encyclopedia of British Law I have? That obscure right that belongs to the defense in these situations. Remember? A summation examination. Yes, that's right. We don't have a jury in Japanese courts, of course. But here in the British Court of Law, if we can reverse the decisions of a majority of the jurors, we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. Pulls out a gun. We're going to try and continue this trial whether you want to or not, or I'll shoot everyone. The defense moves to invoke the right to its summation examination, my lord. Why am I not surprised by learned Japanese friend's inability to admit defeat? You chose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend, instead of accepting the truth. Wait, I went a bit too sassy there. A bit too sassy. He started becoming like a weird, like, high school bully. Certainly no other defense counsel in recent times has been exercised the right to summation examination. Because they all know that once the juror's mind is set, it cannot be altered. And nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. The defense counsel's request is granted. This court will proceed with the summation examination as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we all know about this young lad's tenacity. And we're ready for it. Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. Woo! Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man, and straight up, there's no reason to doubt the man. That's it? Well, I do... He does actually say that! She does say that! Well, I do declare that the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. His Japanese stoops all the time, and his mustache very fishy. There's no reason, evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraudster. For now, at least. I really don't care. I just need to get this trial quickly. 3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know. Nothing at all. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced. It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspeare is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by his strange theatrical movements. Why do you think he's a liar? Where did this come from? There's been no evidence to show that he's been a liar yet. So what? We just hate the guy? Is that it? Does he have a thing against Shakespeare? And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsumi has said appears to have been understood at all. Oh, let's not forget. Here we go. I pleaded with the jury on the Soseki-san's behalf before, and it worked, so you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how a summation examination works, Mr. Naruhodo. No, it isn't. I don't need to know. Oh. Well, you're still very new to British law, after all. That's true, I suppose, and Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands now, too. There's always a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. Perhaps I should hear Soseki-san out? I wonder, should I let her talk through it again, or not bother? No need. Thank you for the kind offer, Mr. Zato. But I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary. Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you'd like. I'll be here for you. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement. Finding two that are contradictory and pitting the corresponding jurors against each other. Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Character development for Shepard. He doesn't redo tutorials as like he always used to. Hey, that was when there was like a big spread of time. I've been playing this game for like a month now at least. It looks like he's about to cut them all down when he stands like that. The defense's rebuttal.
Hold it!
Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem to be noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars? I've no doubt about it. I like that shaky client of yours, for example. Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's hands for that night was the Japanese man's tea. When you take the gasman's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer. Well, that's alarmingly logical. But let me be frank here, I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespeare's churn is as rotten as liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen of the jury would be the same. Isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps. Although I don't see it happening. Eh? What's that? Only gentleman here, you know? We'll have to speak up. Look, I really don't care about all this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over. How many gentlemen do we actually have on the jury, then? Alright, sir, I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said.
Hold it!
Are you saying you believe the man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid? No, that's not what I said. The point is, the man is a victim here. What reason would he have to lie? And yes, he is rather splendid. So you say, yet again. Meanwhile, the man who stands accused behaves so suspiciously. It's exhausting to look at him. I'm afraid he's not splendid at all. Splendid logic there, madam. Thank you so much.
Hold it!
No. Not one of those things to reason to find the man guilty. But he is fishy. There's no point dancing around the fact. He's Japanese. He has a mustache and he stoops. You see, you arrived at the conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps, like a waltz, in fact. I'm highly racist. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance. You seem to be several steps ahead of yourself, though, and you're on the wrong foot. No, there's nothing but circumstantial evidence here. There's no actual proof of the defendant's guilt. But the victim's version of events is backed up by what the big chin man next to him says, isn't it? 1, he saw the Japanese man there. 2, he saw no one else. And 3, he saw the Japanese man there. Oh, There's another 3 steps. There, all this really does is seem more and more like a waltz, doesn't it? Right, and the prosecution will waltz its way to a victory if I let you speak much more. You can't clip that. There's no evidence suggests...
Hold it!
Yes. A fraudsman? What do you mean by that, madam? It really is the most tiresome problem for the company, most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence, we can never even threaten to take action for fear of being sued. I'm sorry, you've lost me a little there. Who are you? I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company. Good gracious! Altamont Gas, you say? Gas is the future of in this country and around the globe, and proper handling is essential. That's me. Sorry about that. Jesus, that was such a violent sneeze. It came out of nowhere. Ugh. Excuse me. If Saseki stands up straight, he unlocks his true power. Oh, God. Gas is the company in this country and around the globe, but proper handling is essential. As I'm sure of our employee from the East End branch office would be the first to agree. Absolutely, Queen Bee. Lady Queen Bee? It's Queen Bee. Okay, yeah. Gotta be used properly. Ultimate Gas is the best in the world, of course. I think I may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, he bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he? So, would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching Mr. Shamspeare was up in his room? I'm afraid there's been no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies somebody as a possible fraudsman. But to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night, we're very thorough in our investigations. So you mean Mr. Shamspeare is... I wouldn't come to out and say it in public. But you can finish the sentence with a grubby little gas thief. She even has a stinger as an umbrella. You have noticed the public gallery in here, have you? The eye of man have not heard. The ear of man have not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin. But seraphs here are not insults, only choirs of angel in song. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers don't stop buzzing around you until they find it. And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in Altamont gas explosions. So, Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas. I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement. My pleasure. I'm making her southern now. Was it the bit about ripping up that thief apart that you enjoyed? A little bit before the part about abject violence, if it's not too much trouble. Yes, of course. This could be it. This could shift the balance. The victim puts on a fine performance, but in reality he's a common thief or a company's gas. I believe... Would that count as a liar? Let's keep going for now. Get the next guy.
Hold it!
You keep talking about needing to take home some money. What's that all about, sir? Finish, lass. That's what it's about. What's that? I'm talking about the Debbie Derby at Hyde Park, aren't I? It was the Queen's Cup last week, wasn't it? Derby? It was dead, sir. That's the thing. I couldn't lose. So I took my wife's secret savings like. But then, that hopeless old man went and did the unthinkable. The stupid Finnish lass. Oh dear, I think it's clear what happened, isn't it? This is the day my missus uses her savings for a trip down the pub. So come on, let's business lie now. Just give it up. No, that's not gonna happen. He just wants to not. He doesn't want his wife or something to go to the pub. Jeez.
Hold it!
What do you really mean by that, sir? Well, I'm not one to boast, but I get up every five. But I get up every morning. I do. At 5? You're a really early riser then, aren't you? Huh? What's that? No. I said you're an early riser. Oh, well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I like to while away in the hours of the evening reading books as well. But about 2 in the morning, I'm usually too tired to go on. He sleeps all 2 in the morning and gets up at 5? Oh my, that means he's only had 3 hours of sleep each night. Huh? What's that, dear? Only 3 hours of sleep each night. I can't shout that any louder. Well, that's right, you see. 3 hours of missing time. Like I said, it's not much, is it? This really isn't helping. The key to the summation examination is identifying contradictions between jurors' statements, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I know. Right, and once I've found 2 jurors whose statements can't coexist, I need to pit those jurors against each other. Then hopefully, when they see what they're saying that doesn't make any sense, they'll change their leaning. Yes, and if you're able to change the minds of a majority of the jurors, the trial will continue. But conversely, if you're unable to do that, the judge will declare the trial over and no move to education. I can't let that happen. Somehow or other, I have to turn this trial around. Okay, so I do need to pit you against someone. I think it's this one.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! 2 statements do you prefer, counsel? Juror number 1. What are you dealing about now, lad? I presume you've heard juror number 4's statements, made by the wife of the owner of Altamont Gas. Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact, turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much. It's true, we don't have any evidence as such, just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know. What? You heard me. Seeing as his operation's already been compromised, I would suggest that the court hears testimony from the East End branch office employee over there. I'll do whatever you say, milady. Gasman's honor. Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show you that Mr. Shakespeare was a lie, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. And as a man of honor, I will hold it. I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will. Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. So if that means you'll recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground. Oh, no, I'm not having any part of this. I just want the trial to be done with. In that case, I shall change my leaning. Wow. We managed to persuade one guy and it changed nearly all of the people's opinions. So, Mr. William Shakespeare, if that is your real name, we of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of man you really are. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory. Yay! Order! 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 Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense's summation examination, the jury's leanings have changed. Now only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare the court to be in a state of a discord, or disaccord, and order the trial to continue. Yay! Woo! I like to think, to imagine that Sarah's ghost watches all over her grandbaby's trials. You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shamspear. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim. But your gods will give us some faults to make us men. So gods mend me, I do swear. The gasman speaketh that which concerns him most, naught but gas, naught but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul. Oi! What did you say? Do I take, Mr. Shamspear, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery? Most heartily, my lord. Hast thou forgotten? I am a seraph, an angel, noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart. Sorry, I had to pause there for a second. Ugh. Honest of heart. You flowery mouth pompous beanpole! Just because I haven't got the evidence yet! Mr. Shamspear, if in fact you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom. It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule out on the case. Oh no. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the fidelity of this witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further.
Objection!
I assure you, my lord, that would be the waste of this court's time. I went a bit too aggressive there. This gas and the case are unrelated. Juror number 4. Yes? Didn't you say before that although you had no hard evidence to prove this man had been stealing gas, you've had strong grounds for suspecting him? That's right. We do. Don't we, worker? Absolutely, Lady Quidby. Grassman's honor. There's a movie in the extras menu where... Oh, okay. We can check that out when we finish the game, I guess. Very well, then. We will hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspear, has been stealing gas. Yes, my lord, it will be my pleasure. On the ultimate gas name, I swear. If I may, my lord... Go ahead, madam. This worker's testimony may have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you wouldn't mind. Woohoo, yeah! Sweet as honey! Yeah! Very well. As an exception, I shall honor your request. Thank you, my lord. You wait till the boss gives you an earful, or I'm just going to sting you, mark my words. So you will both testify before the court on the subject of the illegal consumption of the ultimate gas companies and fuel. I'm getting more like Trough with my voice now with this guy. Yes, is that clear, my good man? Clear as ultimate gas, my lady. Which is the clearest in the world. Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Mrs. Arrow? Were you surprised? I think the man is just a very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo. Witness testimony. Ultimate Gas Company investigation. Let me just see how long we've been going for. At least an hour. Got an hour and 26 minutes. I thought it was actually a lot longer than that. I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator, meter money collection agent. Ultimate gas meters accept threepenny bits. Each coin given customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas. And yet the meter in Mr. Shanspeare's room didn't have a single coin in it. The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though. The collection agent has the only key. Somehow he's using the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, then what is it? Is the gas actually... Oh, that'd be petrol, though. I was just going to say, is the gas the lump that's inside the soap? But that wouldn't make sense. Unless it's a liquid. Because I'm equating gas to, like, actual, like, gas. Somehow he's using the flaming gas all he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, then what is? Not too far away. Okay. Pray forgive the discourtesy. The irrelevancy of this testimony caused me to turn my hollow chalice. What do you mean by the remark, Lord Van Zeeks? Did the moustache Nipponese poison the gangling excuse for an actor, or did he? That is all that should be concerned this court. And yet now we must be listening to this abhorrence. Clearly what separates the vast British Empire and your Eastern Island nation is more than geographical distance. But this could turn out to be crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead. Ah! Do what you will. Lord Van Zeeks appears to be in a violent mood. Yes, he does. And then attempted poisoning, and an incident of gas theft with no supporting evidence. It's true that they would appear completely unrelated at first glance, but I wonder. The truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places. And the first step is uncovering it will be establish just who and what this man really is. So, does that mean you went to people's houses in order to empty their gas meters? That I do. Have to try to catch people when they're in. Then I ask permission to come inside and do my business. That makes it sound like you're going to go use the bathroom. Does that mean that you've been into Mr. Natsumi's room before, as well as Mr. Shanspeare? Well, now, interesting you should bring that up, because I couldn't believe how little money was in his meter. I mean, how the pair of them survived the winter is beyond me, it really is. No, Mr. Natsumi, he probably spends all his gas money on books. And then when he's finished reading them, he probably burns them for warmth. You'll kindly reiterate your statement about the gas meters themselves, Mr. Meterman. Not much to say, really, but as you wish.
Hold it!
So all London houses have the gas supplies are fitted with these gas meters, are they? They're the latest model, the height of technology, developed by a company, Ultimate Gas. And anyone who uses our gas will have one of these meters in their property, yes. So if there's a 3 pence coin gives 2 hours of gas, most people would use about 3 coins in a night? A bit more than that, usually, if they have both gas lights and a gas stove, that is. Thinking about it, Sazeki-san doesn't have a fireplace in that room of his, does he? I think there were too many books to see a fireplace. They were like stacked up to the ceiling. So if he did have one, we didn't see it. Some people still choose to use candles, of course, and only have gas for heating. Yes, I do remember seeing candles in the Mr. Natsumi's room, actually. And how does the money in the meter go back to you at the gas company? Every 3 days, gasmen like me visit properties in the gas supply and empty their meters of coins. I must say, the design and manufacture of these new meters cost the company an awful lot of money. But happily, it did put a stop to people not paying their dues, for the most part. And because they have to pay in advance, you mean... Yes, exactly right.
Hold it!
Out of interest, how long has this been going on? Weeks! You've been pitching gas of us for ages. And you've examined the meter in Mr. Shamspeare's room, I take it. Naturally. We took it off the wall and sent it over to the fine-tooth comb. And found nothing suspicious at all, I presume. No, I'm afraid we didn't. Which is exactly why I demanded a new type of meter to be produced. One with an indestructible lock. The Shamspeare Special. That sounds like we would have cost an awful lot of 3-penny pieces. But not even after all that, the Raskin meter is still empty. I'll never forget the humiliation. When I opened the money box and found it bare. You what? I said. You what? And the look on his face, that smarmy smile of his. I pulled the meter straight off the wall and took it back to the office. But you know what? Nothing. I don't trace a being jammy open anywhere. Not a single coin. Or sign. And what's happening to my salary as a result? Down by 3 shillings a day, that's what? A life-threatening situation in a number of ways. Incidentally, what became of that meter? Nothing became of it, I've still got it. Oh. Right here. No wonder they call you the meter man. Which doesn't make sense because we saw a picture of it and it was still there. I would think it'd be prudent for the court to sequester this item while the trial is ongoing. Gas meter has been entered into the court record. It sports a very strong lock developed specially with Mr. Shamspeare in mind. If it was developed with Mr. Shamspeare in mind, it should have a wig and an outfit. Definitely. Although at first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything unusual about it. Let's move this along, shall we? Continue with your testimony. Though I would say it has much value as the contents of that meter. Ooh. Oof. He made the Roblox oof. Right, let's have a look at this meter. That's a very sturdy looking padlock, isn't it? And the money's sealed in the beeswax too. So if Mr. Sholmes were to get up to any mischief, he'd be found out immediately. Mr. Naruhodo, mischief of that kind is not the sort of the thing that Mr. Sholmes would... You know you didn't finish that sentence, don't you? Well, anyway, it's understandable that the gas company would want to safeguard the money that's rightfully theirs. But it does feel over the top, perhaps, doesn't it? That's where the pipes go in. Oh, hello. Oh, what's this? Have you spotted something, Mr. Naruhodo? Just here, there's a little hole. Do you see? Oh, goodness, you're right. I wouldn't have noticed. It's not a very neat hole, is it? Not professionally made, I'd say. So, you think it might be opened up by Mr. Shamspeare? Possibly. It seems the people at Altamont Gas have missed it. Gas must have missed it. Well, it certainly seems to go all the way through to the inside. Yes, but there's no way a coin could fit through there. That's true, but even so, it seems more than a little suspicious. So I guess I am right. He uses soap to put under there, so then when the gas leaks out, it goes onto the soap. And then when he needs it, he like puts it into the machine or something, or whatever he needs to in order to get his gas. Well,
Objection!
Already found something out that was wrong. Lady Altamont, I'm afraid to say that this meter clearly does show signs of having been tampered with. Oh, what? Get away! I've been over and over that thing! I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it! In that case, What do you say about this small hole that's been made at the base of the coin box? Oh, what? Or maybe he does... No, it might make more sense that the coins fall out, but I don't know. You're right. You're absolutely right. There is a little hole there. The meters aren't supposed to have that. None of the others do. In other words, we can assume that Mr. Shamspear secretly opened up this hole himself. Yes, it would appear. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But why? Yeah, why? I mean, it's tiny. You couldn't get a farthing through that. Yeah, I was right. Lady Altamont. I wonder if you could give the court some more details about your meter design. What sort of details? Well, what I'd specifically like to know is how it differentiates coins. How does the meter tell the difference between different coins? Well, what do you mean? Well, for example, if someone were to put in 1 penny coin, that wouldn't work presumably, would it? Well, no, of course not. So, well, how does the meter know that the coin is being fed as a threepenny bit? Ah, I see what you're getting at now. The meter tells coins apart by their shape and size, which includes their thickness. A threepenny bit is about 3/4 inch in diameter, you see. Other coins just won't fit. Ah, I see. It's clearly been very well thought out. The witness will amend her formal testimony with information in that case, if it's pertinent. As you wish, my lord. I'm wondering if it actually shows the thickness. Wait a minute, it's gone! Oh, look at this bar of soap. There's a circular depression on this side, about 2 centimeters across. Or 3/4 of an inch. Wait, do you think... We did find this soap at the scene, didn't we? Yes, there were 2 bars on that little jut ledge there on the outside window, so we took this one. But I'm sure that we first found it. There was some sort of reddish medallion in the middle of there. I'm glad I went back and examined this, because I was like, wasn't there a thing in this? And it's gone. I remember it clearly. Yes, but there's no sign of it now. Where could it have gone?
Objection!
Let me just confirm something here. If the diameter and thickness were to be correct, the meter wouldn't accept any object as if it were a threepenny bit, is that correct? Yes, that's correct. Well, by something of a coincidence, while we were investigating Mr. Shamspear's room, we found a particular item that matches the dimensions perfectly. Something the same size as the threepenny bit? What was it? The item in question is this. What have you been getting, gas? That's a bar of soap. It certainly looks nothing like a threepenny bit, I must say. It looks like I'm going to have to point out exactly what I mean here. What's so important about the soap is this part here. I meant to present that, not look at it. It's a perfect circle, and I would say almost 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Rather like something else we've been talking about recently, in fact. It's about soap you need to go.
Got it!
Got it! I was catching up with chat. Emma was my favourite until I played this. Now it's Zato, Gina, Iris, then Maria and Emma. Oh, okay. If Maria had more screen time, she'd be higher. I can't remember who Maria is. You have to turn over the soap to see what I mean. Are you referring to that round depression in the middle of the soap bar here? That's right, a depression that's approximately 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Or in other words, almost exactly the same size as a threepenny bit. Get away! Does anyone here present have a possession of a penny bit? Quickly now, we hand over your coins, ladies and gentlemen. It sounds rather like a highway robbery, doesn't it? The judge is robbing the jury. Thanks to the kind member of the public in the gallery, I have here a thruppenny bit. And now, let's see if it fits. My word, it couldn't be more snug. Yes, as I suspected. This, without a doubt, is a vital clue to explain how the Ultimate Gas Company is being defrauded. Well, I don't believe it. So, your assertion amounts to what? That some inferior bar of soap has a tentative connection to the theft of gas. Yes. The depression in the soap was clearly made by a thruppenny bit. I must concur at least that pushing a coin with some force into a poor quality soap bar of soap, such as this, is a remarkably simple way of replicating the coin's shape. And then you could use, like, well, some melted wax or something to pour into the mold. And you could make a fake coin in no time. This brings all the pieces of the puzzle together. If the method Mr. Shakespeare has been using to steal the gas, that's missing the link. Is it zooming in, or is that just my eyes doing that? I think it's just my eyes. And now I have to follow the chain of thought. It's going to bring me to a new explanation for what happened that nobody's considered yet. But this is all nonsense. If the man had been making fake coins, my worker here would have found when he emptied the meter. Well, quite true, Lady Altamont. In the absence of some black magic, that could make them disappear. I see. So that's what we're dealing with, is it? There is one form of black magic that could cause the fake coins to disappear into thin air. Yes. Exactly, and the meter here gives it away. What on earth? There are remembrance of the magical methods used visible on the gas meter taken from the victim's room. If that is what your assertion, Counsel, the defense will identify these remnants of the court at once. I'm getting too much into the voice. Round the meter can the remnants of the method used to make the fake coins appear to be seen. Whee! The hole!
Got it!
We found this bar of soap at the scene of the crime, just outside the victim's window. Outside? Yes, outside, where you yourself, Mr. Meaderman, were loitering in the freezing winter air. That's where we found this soap. I get it. That's right. The answer, of course, is ice. Did you say ice? Mr. Shakespeare has been leaving soaps out like this outside his window each evening, filled with water. After a night outside in the bitter cold, the water is completely frozen solid the next morning. Then, when he takes his fake coins of ice and feeds them into the gas meter, giving him light and warmth in spades. As his room becomes very comfortably warm, the ice now inside the meter coin box melts. I have seen kitchen gun, yes. I have not seen the iris kitchen gun. Turning back into water and draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter. That is how, without leaving any evidence of this wrongdoings, this man has been stealing ultimate gas. Just like that. So simple. Is he trying to make us look like idiots? He's been fooling us all with some bars of soap and some water. That's right, madam. I don't believe it. It can't be true. Do you have any idea how much money we spent to develop that new meter? And now you have the audacity to suggest that a bit of soap and some water can render it totally useless? I'm fairly sure I didn't design it. Evidence. Sorry? I want evidence. If you're going to stand there and tell our meters are rubbish, I want to see proof. She's very good at enforcing accountability, isn't she? Very well, Lady Altamont. If you'd like evidence, I'll prove it. Or provide it. What? Mr. Naruhodo, are you saying you actually have evidence to support this theory? I did notice a trace of something that bothered me a little at the time. And I have a feeling that this theory we've come up with now could explain it. The piece of evidence that substantiates this theory now that Mr. Shamsbury has been stealing gas is... here, because there's a wet spot.
Take that!
I thought I remembered seeing something like that. This is a photograph of the scene at the point where the victim was discovered, taken by Inspector Gregson. And it clearly shows the remnants of the crime carried out by Mr. Shamspear. What remnants? Here you can see the gas meter on the wall in Mr. Shamspear's room. Now, look closely at the floorboards directly underneath the meter. What is that? Some kind of grubby stain? Almost certainly it's a water stain resulting from the liquid that drained out of the hole made in the meter. If one coin gives around 2 hours of gas usage and the occupant was heating his room in all his waking hours, we can imagine he would have used around 10 fake coins each day. The melting ice inside the meter's coin box would have been dripping out almost constantly, leaving a stain on the floor. This is why we don't use paid meter coins anymore. Or ever. For years. For centuries. This is awful. And there's further evidence too. Mr. Shamspear slumped over his table, apparently having consumed strychnine. And right there next to him is a bar of soap, broken in half. You're right. It would appear to me then, Counsel, that the man was eating the soap, was he? No. Pardon me for disagreeing with your lordship, but... certainly not. He didn't beat around the bush here, did he? In truth, Mr. Shamspear was found with a fork in his hand. A meal of soap is sounding increasingly... I didn't know how to finish that. Do you mean to say he was using that fork to... Yes. To extract a frozen coin from the bar of soap. But the bar is broken half. So perhaps he didn't go very well. Good gracious! Ah! Not again! Lord Van Zeeks! I was throwing my hand up in despair. I had gone into the wrong voice. And it happens to catch my Holland bottle on the way. Pray forgive my maladroit mistake. What is the meaning of this, Counsel? Allow me to pose my learned friend a question. What exactly did you establish with your most recent cross-examination? Well, that Mr. William Shamspear is a liar and a thief. In other words, that his testimony is unreliable. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. I meant to do that. Very well. Let us assume the man is a liar. Now allow me to pose another question. What possible difference does that make? Well, we know that the suicide can be discounted. Scotland Yard's investigator revealed no signs of another vessel that contained poison. And on the night in question, there were no visitors in the room except the accused. The young gasman's testimony, which there was no reason to doubt, has confirmed that. Furthermore, there's no possible way the poison could have entered the victim's body via the tea. The court has seen no evidence whatsoever that suggests otherwise. Even if William Shamspear is the liar you claim him to be, these facets or facts have been objectively established. There's no... Therefore, in light of these facts, The prosecution calls for immediate adjudication. You... Quiet! Order! World Council, how does the defense corrupt respond? Mr. Naruhodo, did we knock ourselves out? What was the point of that last cross-examination? Did it actually get us anywhere? Or did it make no difference at all, like Lord Van Zeeks is saying? Wait and see. Everything is up in the air at the moment. Perhaps I should just wait and see what happens next. Mr. Naruhodo, this is no time to sit back and watch how the trial unfolds. We have to make our own way forward. Oh. A fledgling idea will never flourish into a mature argument that's able to win over the jury. Unless it's nurtured with some carefully chosen rhetoric. Susanoo-san, I feel like your rhetoric is more carefully chosen than anyone sometimes. It seems your argument has run its course to nowhere.
Objection!
No, this isn't over. The defense will not rest. What? But, counsel, you have successfully established everything. You've identified and substantiated the unscrupulous methods employed by Mr. Shamspeare to consume gas. What more is there to discuss? Lord Van Zeeks just highlighted 3 facts in order to make his point. But contrary to what he would have the court to believe, not all of them have objectively established at all. What are you trying to say, my Nipponese friend? At least one of these so-called facts is an assumption, made due to the lack of evidence. But the situation has changed now, following the cross-examination to the latest witnesses to take the stand. Don't be absurd. What is this nonsense? Yes, when you bring everything we've learned so far together and consider it as a whole, it's clear. There's a question that we now need to reconsider, namely... what if the victim did in fact have another visitor beside Mr. Natsume? If that's your assertion, by all means, tell us who it was. Yes, well... Well, who is the mysterious third party, Counsel? I think it's a little too soon to be naming names, my lord. Yeah, kind of figured. On the contrary, it's a little too late, much like your defense. But we've seen so much. The situation has changed, I'm sure of it. Mr. Shamspeare was trying to make more of ice coins on the night in question. It's probably like the coins with the poison, like I said. It's pointing us to somewhere else. There's a question that we now need to reconsider. Namely... we've all been led to believe that the strychnine poisoning that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare was in the tea brought to him by Mr. Natsume. But that's conjecture at best.
Objection!
The victim has testified that nothing else passed his lips that night. There was no other possibility. You should use the outfits next stream. I'll try. And since there were no traces of the tea left at the scene, it could be tested for traces of the poison.
Objection!
As I said, the situation has changed. Because, in fact, some of Mr. Natsume's tea was left at the scene. And a particular piece of evidence proves it.
Objection!
A ludicrous claim. Scotland Yard detectives investigated the scene exhaustively. What evidence are you suggesting they missed? The defense has made a bold claim indeed. Very well, counsel. Present your proof. What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? I mean, the only thing left is this.
Take that!
What exactly is this piece of evidence supposed to reveal about Mr. Natsume's tea, counsel? Well, I suspect it may possibly be related to the tea in some small way. If we dig deep enough, it's not like they drank from this. Then you will be digging for a very long time indeed, my learned friend. Oh. Even at the bottom of the deepest chasm, you will find no sense in that absurd assertion. I mean, you can skip her hat. Just make her have like a hat come off or something. Ugh, I sometimes wish I would disappear down a deep chasm to escape this deep sarcasm. Then I advise you to think more deeply before you make an answer again this time. What evidence for the serial crime? Yes, I would like to save. Evidence. Evidence. Oh, whoops. Can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea. I don't know. This doesn't talk about tea in any way, it just talks about the books. We would have presented this and this didn't help. This doesn't do anything. Oh, screw it.
Take that!
Good gracious! The soap again? The same bar the victim used to fashion his coins of ice? Yes, that's right, my lord. It's just come back to me. Something about when we first found this bar of soap at the scene yesterday. It's more bars of soap. Oh, he refroze the tea, of course. Oh, I'm a dumbass. Soap? Why are there bars of soap lying on the ledge outside the window? I'm quite certain that when we originally stumbled upon the bars of soap, there was actually a frozen coin in each bar. So you discovered the gas thief's coin factory. Fascinating. In a way, yes, but there's more. The coins we found in the soap at the time weren't normal ice. There was something strange about them, you say, mean? The foap. Exactly, something very obviously strange. They were red. The ice was red. I'm doing the wrong voice for you. No, you mean... That's right, it's obvious to me now. The fake coins in the soap were made from frozen tea. What? I will remind the court of a statement made by Mr. Natsumi early in this trial. That evening, yes, I did make some freshly brewed tea with me in the visitor Mr. Sham's room as a gift. The public wanted pumps outside always freezes at night, so I brought some bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch it again, never. Ah, yes, I do believe there had been a snowfall that day. It was particularly cold. Sadly, on such occasions, the poor constructed water mains in the East End are prone to freezing. So, on the night in question, Mr. Shamspear, having no running water to use, was forced to use the tea brought by Mr. Natsumi in order to make his fake coins. My word! Van Zeke's heart attack, yeah. There were 2 bars of soap on the window ledge when my judicial assistant and I investigated the scene. That's right, and we only borrowed 1 of them. Which means that even as we speak, some of the defendant's tea is still present at the scene of the crime. Frozen solid in a bar of soap outside of Mr. Shamsby's window. Extraordinary. Earlier today, Inspector Gregson informed the court that if even 1 drop of the tea remained, Scotland Yard would be able to analyse it for poison. As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what was until now been mere conjecture. By finding out for sure whether or not Mr. Natsume's tea actually contains strychnine at all. Ugh, you smug Nipponese. I went a bit too aggressive there. My lord, we cannot do the defendant the injustice of passing judgment now. The police should be dispatched to recover the remaining bar of soap from the scene at once. And the defense requests a thorough analysis of the frozen tea embedded in it to determine whether or not it contains any poison. Bailiff! Instruct the police to attend the scene at once. Yes, my lord, understood. It would seem we have no choice but to suspend these proceedings for the time being. I trust you have no objections, Lord Van Zeeks. None, my lord. Scotland Yard will recover the tea from the scene and carry out the requisite test immediately. The trial will resume in the same hour tomorrow. The prosecution and defense may conduct further investigations appropriate in the interim. Is it going to be a case where it's like we don't get in the next case because the guy ends up dying? Yes, my lord. Well, we managed to scrape through us there somehow. Thank you, counsel. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Objection! Wait! Hold it! No, surprisingly. Imagine if it did this, but then it did hold it. To be continued. Woo! Oh, boy. Apollo was born in the perceived realm. Oh, man. That's a great place to stop. Exactly on 8, too. 8 p.m. I'm just going to save again, because I want to. Alright, cool. Where's my desk gone? My stuff has been stolen. But that is where we will stop for today. We'll find out what happened to our desk next time, I guess. I wasn't expecting it to just be gone. But we shall pick this up next week, where we will be continuing on. Hopefully I'll be a bit more healthy rather than sick and whatever. Yeah. I'll be back tomorrow with more Death Stranding, so look forward to that. But regardless, thank you all for joining today. I hope everyone enjoyed. I'm liking... well, I've been enjoying this the whole time, so, you know, I'm always happy to play some more great Ace Attorney. Or just Ace Attorney in general. But yeah, we'll be back with this on Tuesday next week. So look forward to that if you're here for that only. Other than that, if you haven't already, like, follow, subscribe, bell notifications, all that stuff, depending on where you're watching from, so you know when I next stream. You get notified. And if you want to support me directly, there's a link to Patreon and tips in the description or in the bottom of the video, depending on where you're watching from as well. And if you do become a patron, get your name added to the patron list here, where I give you a shout out of every stream, like I do with Hiro Kuni, the Soulmaster 37, and Rafatron 2000. I thank you for the keen support. I greatly appreciate you all. And we drink tea that is not poisoned, and then not like it because we don't like tea. Well, I mean, some people you might, but I won't. But yeah, thanks for joining today. I'll see you either tomorrow or next week. Until then, you all take care. Have a nice rest of the day, and have a good one. Thanks for joining, Swordmaster, Rafatron, Balaroth, and is that Saroon? Welcome. But yes, goodbye, everyone.